Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. With the soon-to-be released this fall podcast host, Marian Rivera, in the podcast Change the Narrative.
Hi, how are you?
A powerful name for a show.
Powerful woman sitting next to you.
Okay. Yeah, you got comfortable now. Season 1, you're already talking crazy to me, right? Okay. All right. So you helped co-host to launch your show. I got a chance to know you. I actually met you prior to doing the show. You was actually a guest. And I remember you sharing with me your desire to have your voice amplified. And during this transition, a whole lot of things have basically come to light for you, which enabled you to become even more powerful. The loss of a job that you thought was pretty much get real, thought it would be there forever. And you definitely took the bull by the horn and decided to invest in yourself. And we're going to do everything we can on our end at the I Am Beast Network to make sure that we help hold your hand and guide you through this process of launching your new show. But why do you feel the need to do the show?
Why not? Like you said, I'm going through a lot of changes. There's been a lot of uncertainty in my life lately. So why not put yourself out there? Why not expose yourself? Why not keep talking? Let's talk about stuff. God didn't close one door without opening another. If you would have told me 2 months ago that I'd be sitting on a couch here next to you during my own podcast, I'd be like, yeah, no.
Did you have any idea that change was going to happen in the way of your employment and then trying to raise 4 girls, a single mom?
I kind of knew that changes were coming. You know, a lot of chatter in the government and the current administration reached a point that we all knew that none of our jobs were secure. So I just kind of let that roll, let that transpire. It's something that was out of my control. It's nothing I could do about it. But like I said, I decided to pull the trigger on something that I thought about for a couple of years, but just didn't know when the timing was right. So once I lost my job, I said, this is it. This is the time to step up.
There was no questions, no doubt in your mind. This is
what you got to do. This is where you're going. We're headed in another direction. We're going away from the federal government, and we're headed in a completely different direction.
Who was your biggest supporters through this? You know, you're a mother of four girls. 4 girls. That's a lot of estrogen rolling around in your house.
That's that right?
Yeah. So, who was your biggest supporters? Who did you share this idea with, and what did they tell you? What words of encouragement did they share with you?
Well, I have 2 big supporters. My sister, who's currently on this episode right now, but also a good friend of mine named Alan. He sees something in me. He saw something in me after I did the episode on your show, and he was like, "You need to talk. You need to get out there. You have a message. People need to relate. People need to hear it."
Did you take him seriously when he said it?
Yeah, I did. Ironically, because most of the stuff when I talk to him, I don't take seriously. But I took him seriously.
What about your daughters? Because at the bottom line, he's a friend. Your sister is a family member. But the bottom line is you still are trying to be a role model to your daughters. You're trying to live up to your sister, who's going to be on the show in a second, who basically you shared with me was more than just a sister. She was a confidant for you. She was a mother figure for you. Still is. And how did you manage to deal with that? Because at the end of the day, those are really your cores.
Yeah, those are my cores. My daughter, I ran it through by my oldest daughter first, obviously, because she's 25, and she's very supportive. She's like, "Mom, do it. Why not?" She's like, "Why not? You got the personality for it. You got the good vibe." She's like, "Put yourself out there, talk, and just see what happens." I don't want to live with any regrets.
Right.
And be like, "Oh, coulda, woulda, shoulda," or maybe if I would have done this, what if it would have taken off or anything like that? No. And my other 3 daughters were just kind of like, to be honest with you, they were kind of a little bit more embarrassed because they're teenagers. They're younger, they're seeing their mom on social media and Instagram, and they're just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you trying to be a celebrity, or why are you trying to push yourself out there? I said, no, I'm not trying to be a celebrity. I'm just trying to be a voice for other women.
When you say a voice for other women, give me a general idea of some topics that have surfaced for you that from the time you was born from Puerto Rico, you and your sister were separated. We'll talk about that a little bit. Um, there was moments in your life where you had to go on this venture somewhat alone until you got reconnected with other family members, um, single mom and stuff. So you've heard a lot along life's passing. You've gone through a lot through this journey. What are some of the things that your show is going to bring to the voiceless, the women that are voiceless?
Well, let's give them a voice. Let's talk about what they're going through. Let's put it out there. Let's talk about different topics from mental health to fitness to everything that might be affecting you. Primarily, let's support each other. Mm-hmm. That there's support out there, there's help out there, so that you don't have to think that you have to go through it alone. You don't have to.
Are you speaking from experience? Because is this something that you wish was available for you with what you went through?
Yes, definitely from experience, because not all the time have I always been supported. Most of the time I have, but if I would have known things differently, or if I would have known how to reach out to help, to seek more help, what I was going through at the time, it would have made a huge difference.
Give me an idea. What do you think that you needed the most at that time that would have made a difference to where you are now? Meaning, what do you think if you had then would have made you even stronger than what you already are?
Maybe more support from my family. Okay. My sister's always supported me, but we do have extended family still back in Puerto Rico, and it's tricky with them. Sometimes they're pretty much set in their ways. You could present to them new ideas or tell them what you're about to do, and they're just kind of like, okay, sounds good. I didn't grow up with a lot of support. Mm-hmm. That's one of the main issues. I did have people taking care of me when I was young and whatnot, but the emotional support was not there, and that was hard to go through. It's hard to go through.
How do you keep the emotional support? Or let me rephrase this. The lack of what you went through, how do you shield your 4 daughters from falling victim to the same scenario? Because a lot of things are, I hate to use this word, but it is what it is, generational.
Yes.
You see it, but you don't recognize it, or you recognize it and you fail to do something different with it. So what do you plan to do differently to change the narrative with your own family structure?
I try to engage with them as much as possible. I try to do everything and give them everything that I didn't have, which was, I'm here.
Would somebody say that's spoiling them? That they need to get out and check the world on their own, make some mistakes?
Eventually, they're going to make those mistakes, because my job as a parent is to mold them into good, productive members of society with a moral compass that won't falter, hopefully, eventually, and give them just the basics to fend for themselves. So a lot of parents, I don't think, do that these days. A lot of these kids are just running amok. The parents either don't have the time or don't want to deal with them, or they just throw money at the problem, thinking it's going to fix it. You have to be more engaged. You have to be present. And like we've said before in many episodes this week, consistency.
I'm gonna come. We're gonna go with Kim in a few seconds, but I'm gonna ask a few more questions to really take the viewers into questions that I may think that the viewers may ask. A mother of 4 daughters. Mm-hmm. How do you instill in them independence, but not so much independence to where the ideal of having a man becomes non-existent? Because that's usually what we see now, that women are becoming so strong that the ideal or the idolization of having a structured family with the male as a core, or whatever you want to say it does not exist anymore. How do you keep them grounded to know that, okay, you are a woman, but this is how you still need that man and to nourish a relationship?
I lead by example. I want them to see me be independent. I want them to see me do what I got to do, even if I have to struggle. I don't want them to grow up hating men or not thinking that they can't have a partner to support them and emotionally and through their lives. But I try to lead by example. Like my youngest three daughters, their dad and we were never married, but we were not together anymore. But there's still connection. There's still contact. They still fly out to see him. He lives in Ohio. They still fly out. He FaceTimes them. They talk all the time. So as much as there's only so much that I can do as a mother, but I'm still trying to keep that concept in their mind that
you can co-parent. You can create a relationship. You can
co-parent, and it doesn't have to be all gloom and doom, and it doesn't have to be because that's another big thing. I think once parents separate, it's a shit show. Sometimes, let's be honest, like they don't talk to each other. They don't want to stay involved with each other. You have kids together with somebody, accept that responsibility. It took two people to get there. It shouldn't only be one parent. Unfortunately, sometimes that's the way it is. But you have to keep an open mind, and I want them to know that it's okay. It's okay to be independent. There's nothing wrong with that. But like you said, I don't want to make them so overly independent that they're constantly in survival mode and then turn around and say, I don't need a man.
Okay. Now, let's get right down to the nitty gritty here. This is your introduction to your podcast. But I felt it wouldn't be right to not have someone that you value very much, because I heard you mention her name quite often.
All the time.
We won't talk about 2005. We'll talk about that off camera. Where she had beautiful black long hair, you know what I mean? But without further ado, let's welcome to the show attorney, Miss Kim Rivera. Kim, how we doing?
Doing fine. How are you, Andre?
I'm doing fine. Look how she's talking. You're not in court.
No need for such formalities. It's all good.
You don't change the whole voice. I'm doing fine, Andre. So welcome to the show. So let's talk about your sister. You guys were separated a little bit growing up from Puerto Rico. What was it like growing up? You saw her being born, and a lot of things that you
yes, I did.
A lot of things that you saw, she doesn't remember. But I just felt it only fitting, as she's getting ready to launch on her new podcast, to have the one support that she knows is going to be there no matter what. So tell me what it was like growing up watching this young lady.
Well, I mean, so first and foremost, I think I'm one of the few people who's known her from the minute she entered this world. And, we were separated after our mom's death. And I think there was a lot of struggle. She alluded to it before. We did not grow up with a lot of emotional resources. Let me put it that way. We had food, we had a roof over our head, and that's something to be grateful for. But
Right.
We did not have emotional support, and we weren't raised with a healthy sense of how to have a balanced family life. We were out there swinging away for ourselves from a way too early age. And even though I joke with her and tell her to stop telling people I'm more like her mother, because I'm like, how old do you think I'm going to, people are going to think I'm 75
Sorry
years
about
old.
There's only a 5-year difference, just so everybody knows.
Just to be clear. But she's been swinging away. And for a while, she was by herself and small and trying to find her way. And I was, 5 years ahead of her, but also trying to find my way, and eventually found my way back so we could be together, and I think she and I have been on a journey since she was born. But that journey, and I'm going to say it for what it is, that journey after we were orphaned was rough. It was rough. And it takes a lot of grit and determination. It takes a lot to fight your way through that into adulthood, and then to fight your way through adulthood without ever having had a stable base, and not having a lot of support systems. I know exactly what she's talking about. When I said I was going to go to college in the US, it was like, really? How are you going to do that? I guess so. Good luck. I mean, and again, it wasn't, there was no malice. There was nothing mean in it. It's just like, okay, good luck with that. And that's pretty much how we were raised. And, during the time that we were apart, I knew how hard she was struggling. It's very difficult to lose your mooring in the world. When your parents go, at any age, it's rough. But when they go and you're little and left in the world to fend for yourself, that shifts the entire universe, period,
What was
forever.
it? What was it like for you in general? I can hear the passion and the emotions coming out of your conversation, and I'm pretty sure a lot of times it feels good to just let that go.
Sure.
But let's talk about you for a minute here. When the separation came, how did you? What was the things that you put in order to try to get your life the way it needed to be? Because you clearly said there was no emotion. I get it when you say there was roof over your head, and because people ask me, and I say, yeah, we had food, we had the shelter, we had the clothes. But when you're a teenager, or when you're a child, sometimes I tell people this, even with my own children that are now grown, kids just want you to listen.
Yeah.
I want you to listen to what I want, not what you think is best for me at this time. But this is what I'm going through. What was it like for you when the separation actually took place?
Well, I mean, it was very hard. And I want to, you just said when you're a teenager, you just want someone to listen. No one was listening. You just want to be seen. And I feel like we weren't really seen. No one saw us.
Mm,
Everybody was so, I think, overtaken with grief,
mm,
their own grief, their own hard feelings, their own trauma, whatever was going on with them, they were overtaken by it. And no one saw us. No one really, right? For me, they asked me like I was an adult, what are you going to do now?
mm.
And I, you know, remember we're 14 years old, 15 years old,
Yeah.
and all I could think was I need to finish my education and keep going. I need to figure out how to get the best possible education I can get. And then I'll figure it out from there. And I guess I'm on my own. And I guess I got to go figure that out before I can do anything to help Marion or anybody else. I got to figure out how to stay alive myself before I can get her out of here or help her get out of here and
Mhm.
onto something better. And, so during that separation, the entire time, I was just trying to, in my mind, I was just trying to finish high school, get it done as fast as possible and get out of there and go get a job and figure out, where we go from there, what we do next. How do I get to college? How do I keep going? And the minute I could get Marion out of there, I did. Probably not fast enough for
Right.
her, but and again, I am very proud of everything. I'm very proud of everything she's done. But let's remember, she says I'm like her mother, but I was just a kid too, right?
Yeah.
And so it was like the blind leading the blind at that
Right.
point,
What What do
trying
you
to
think
trying to
would
make
have
our
been?
way.
What do you? I know this is us. We can't predict the future, but how important was it for you? Not so much Marion, but for you, because you were the ground leader. You had the football. You was the quarterback. It was basically something you took upon yourself to make sure that you had the resources to put her in the position to become who she is today. So let me ask this question. I don't know much about Puerto Rico. I listened to what Marion told me, the conditions over there. You got to have money. I listen. When she don't think I'm listening, I'm listening. You got to have money. If you don't have money, you're caught between a rock and a hard place, and so forth. How important was it for you, even though there was loss in the family? Now that you look back, what do you think the narratives would have been had you stayed there and not had left? and she hadn't left?
Oh, um,
Because they could have left you there. You know what I mean?
I will tell
Somebody
you,
could step up to the plate, and you could have stayed right where you was at.
I reflect on that sometimes, right? What I reflect on is what would life, how much healthier, easier, or better would life have been if I didn't feel all alone all the time, constantly just trying to figure out how to stay alive and keep putting one foot in front of the other, right? I mean, there's no, that crowds out a lot of possibilities, right? When you're sort of in fight mode, it's freeze, fight, or flight. And I was in full-time fight mode all day, every day, for 20, 30 years. No lie. Now, a lot got done that way, but it wasn't particularly healthy or balanced. I felt actually, felt more like the field general, the tip of the spear, trying to drive forward and move things out of the way. A lot got done, and I'm grateful for my life. But that's not easy. And the narrative change that I had to make was I seriously thought that if I stayed where we were, there was really all I saw was dead ends in every direction. I did not see a good education. I did not see good opportunity. I did not see good prospects for a relationship of any kind of weight. And I didn't see that for her either at all. And I thought,
not to cut you off,
it can't be this way. I have to go somewhere where the possibilities are.
Not to cut you off, but you will find that hard to believe because it's Puerto Rico. It's the island. It's water, it's beaches, it's music, it's the life. But you telling me that's not really the case.
It's not the case. I mean, it wasn't the case then, and I don't think it's the case today. And especially if you come from a family like ours, which was very modest resources, very, very working class, and just into working class, right? I mean, that's a paycheck to paycheck life, full stop. And you're lucky if you have that. And that's really how it is. And it's awfully hard to find a way to get ahead in that kind of environment. And not for nothing, but it's better today. It was pretty sexist as well. Not a lot of opportunity and respect for women and what they can do and achieve. And that was just something I wasn't going to live with, period.
You decided to go into the legal field. Was that the reason why? Because you wanted to see change, because you saw what it was doing, not only to you, but what it was also maybe doing to the people in your home where you're from, Puerto Rico. You limited resources, things are still the same there. There's two parts to this question. Was that one of the reasons you decided to get into the legal field? And then number two, because there was dead ends all over, who did you have to gravitate to? She gravitated to you. Who had your back?
Well, the answer to your first question, why did I pick the law? I figured out very right then and there when our mom died, I figured out very quickly that if you could understand how systems worked, it was power. And if you knew how to navigate those systems and use them instead of just being in them, that was power. And, I decided very quickly I could do that. I could figure that out. And if I could figure it out, I could help other people figure it out. And so, that's the answer to the first question. That's a large part of the reason that I gravitated to the law. And who had my back? I got to be honest. I don't I really just felt like I was hanging on for myself. I mean, our family in Puerto Rico, to Marion's point, they were supportive once I did it. But they didn't know, even if they had wanted to be more supportive, I was doing something that none of them ever did. No one in our family ever did what I did. So even if they wanted to be supportive, they didn't know how. Yeah, right. All
Right.
they could say is good luck, good job, and so, um, that has its own consequences, but that's a different show and another day. But I felt like I was responsible for myself, responsible for her, and responsible for anybody else in our family who got into trouble or was having a hard time. I felt like that was my job. That was my role. That was my position in the family.
When did you decide? When did the need to check on her to see how she was doing? When did this come? When did this surface? Because let's
I
get
feel
real.
like about
You had to focus on yourself. I get it. You had to focus on yourself in order to make anything happen for her, because you brought up something that was real crucial here, and I think people need to pay close attention to what you just said. There was family, but you were the first of a system, a family structure that had little hope, that was in survival mode every single day. The opportunities was never there to begin with, and if you don't have it in front of you, you may not even try to reach for it. So I get it. So now you're there doing what you need to do, and I'm not saying, I'm pretty sure there was times where she and your other sisters, and you lost one, I'm sorry for that one, but they were on your mind. You're now the floor general. So the question here goes, when did she start to resurface in your mind to say, let me check on her, let me see how she's doing, and let me make sure she's okay, to stop that cycle, because you made it. Now let's see, can I pull somebody else?
Yeah, I feel like I'm hope this answers your question. I feel like the big turning point is I accelerated through high school, and with the purpose of coming back and being under the same roof with her. And as soon as we were back under the same roof and I saw her and saw really what was going on day to day, not just once in a while or every couple of months, but when I saw it day to day, I was like, we got to go. This has to end. We have to get out of here. Like we have to get a fresh start. I need to figure out how to build that foundation, and I got to get her on a different path and out of here. This is not healthy. It's not right.
Was she getting used to, well, let me ask you, were you getting used to the conditions because there was no one to uplift you? Because sometime in the situation, if you feel hopeless, you become part of the hopelessness. Does that make any sense? So did you start?
It makes.
Did you start finding yourself becoming a victim of the situation that your sister tried to pull you out of?
Not that I can remember, no, because my hope and was always looking up to her.
Okay.
And I knew that eventually she was going to come back.
Really?
As messed up as my childhood was when she wasn't there, something in me told me, like, she's going to come back. She's going to look out for you. Hang in there. Hang in there. It's coming. It was very frustrating, and it did a number on my mental health. But I felt like I was like, she's not gonna leave me. She's not gonna leave me.
Kim, what did you see in her when you went back that was like the final straw? What was she doing, or what did you see about to happen that you say, just get the hell up out of here now?
It was just so oppressive and stifling. The weight of, I think that it just felt like such a weight of expectations that didn't seem realistic. And, I looked at her and I saw, I mean, it's a bit corny, but it's like, a flower waiting to bloom, something waiting to happen, trying to burst out, trying to come forward and just being held down. And, and maybe that's just maybe that's how I felt too. Maybe I projected that onto her. I don't know how much I was projecting. I will say she's right. She never was hopeless, and she always was a fighter, and she fought tooth and nail, and it kind of made the situation worse for her, to be honest, and she kept doing it anyway. And similar, I did try and find help. I looked for help, and I was severely disappointed. Every avenue I tried to look for, including, by the way, church at that time. I went to church to talk to a priest. I went everywhere that I could think to go to find help, to seek guidance, to say, how do I deal with this? How can, like, I have to figure this out, and I feel lost, and all the avenues I tried were dead ends. Nobody had anything helpful to say, or uplifting, or good. It was one disappointment after another. And I'll just say this, we do have the same DNA on some level, and we do share a lot of the same experience. And every disappointment just reinforced how much more I needed to do, and how much more ahead of the game my thinking was, and how I shouldn't and didn't and wasn't going to listen to anything around me that was negative or telling me I couldn't, shouldn't, won't, whatever. No, that's not the answer. I won't accept that answer. I'm going to keep looking for an answer until I find one that feels authentic and right. None of this feels right.
Let's go back a minute. Man, this is deep. You definitely worked on changing the narrative. You definitely have that beast mindset. So let's get a little bit deeper here. I was talking to her about almost the same thing today, that even going to a church to try to get resources in your where you was born was unavailable. Resources to help provide an opportunity wasn't available. Support from family members is questionable because they can only do what they was accustomed to doing. Almost hopelessness, but not hopelessness, but sort of hopelessness. You two have taken the bull by the horn to hopefully make a difference. You pulled her out. She's doing a podcast to amplify women. You're doing your part on the legal side by letting individuals know, not only in Puerto Rico, but throughout the world, that it is possible to change the narrative, to keep that beast mindset, to keep going despite obstacles in your way. But let me get deeper here for a minute. And the people need to understand this when they're watching this episode. This shit is worldwide. It just ain't in Puerto Rico. It's here in America. It's here all over the fucking world, where people want the opportunity to change the narrative, to do something different with their lives. Just imagine how many people that are back in your hometown that probably feel hopelessness every fucking day. Men, women, and children alike.
It's exactly how they still feel. It's exactly how they feel.
Kim, with what's going on and what you've accomplished, how does your family look at you guys now? Because first of all, you're females, and you changed the narrative. Let me use your word here. That's a good show too. Change the narrative. Now you got me using it. So how are you being received back home? Like, what are you doing to play this message forward to people back where you're from that look at you too and go, wow, but may not be able to change that narrative. They don't have the strength. They don't have the resources. What do you do then? How do you help them?
Yeah, again, two questions. I think there's a lot of water under this bridge. I think today, for my part, I think people appreciate what I have done and appreciate. I think they have some idea of how difficult doing what I did really was. And I think, they appreciate it. They're proud. I think they look to me for answers whenever there's a hard problem. And listen, you do what you can. And when people ask, I've had a lot of people say to me, yeah, but I'm not like you. I wasn't raised like you. And I laugh when people say that. I go, I don't know what you think I was raised like. you know, I'm like, I was raised by wolves.
Pretty much, yes, we were.
I was like, I don't know what kind of background you think I come from, but so I correct them. I think one of the things is to tell your true and authentic story, to just tell the truth. We didn't come from some fancy advantaged background. We didn't have a lot of resources, but heck, we had less, than what a lot of people have in many ways. But it is doable. The thing is, two things. One, you gotta put one foot in front of the other, and you can't let yourself get, like, if you get knocked down, you cannot stay down. You cannot stay down. You gotta keep getting up and going forward. And it's supposed to be hard. Nothing good in life, nothing worthwhile, nothing valuable in life happens without sacrifice and effort. It's supposed to be hard. It's not supposed to be easy. So if you're feeling bad about the fact that something's hard, or you feel self-pity, or you feel down, or you don't see a way, it's the way it is for a lot of people, for most people. You're not alone. That's exactly how it is. So put one foot in front of the other, baby steps if you have to, and keep looking, keep asking, keep seeking, keep talking, keep searching until you get what you need. Don't give up. And that's it. I mean, that's sometimes that's all you can do, is share that. Other times, if you can do more, great. I Sometimes the answer and the ideas and the solutions come from the least expected places. So that's the other thing. Open your eyes and your ears and your heart, and be open to hearing and getting support from unexpected corners, and take every little bit you can get, even if it's a tiny bit. Take it.
Kim, before we wrap up, I'm gonna ask both of you guys this question. I'll start with you.
Sure.
What's the one thing that you remember most about your mom that you take with you in your everyday life?
Her strength, her resilience.
Give me an example of strength and endurance as it relates to your mom.
Well, just let's think about the fact that she was diagnosed with breast cancer at an early age. She fought till the very end. I saw her go from a healthy woman to maybe weighing 80 pounds, or she passed away. She fought, and she had this strength and this determination in her that I don't know where it came from. I don't know, but she had it, and I have it in me too. It's like she passed it down. It's like she passed it down to the both of us. It was just unbelievable. Her circumstances and everything. She was a fighter. She didn't give up till the very end.
Kim, same question.
I echo that, but on top of that, there's something else that I will always carry with me, which is always make time for yourself, and always make sure you are finding ways to give yourself joy. That's what life is supposed to be. It can't be all terrible. And no matter what your circumstances, there's always a way to find some room to take care of yourself and to find joy and happiness in whatever circumstance you're in. And feeding yourself that way is important. So she was a fighter. And Marion may or may not remember this, but she also knew that sometimes you have to put yourself first. You have to put your oxygen mask on before you can put anyone else's oxygen mask on. And she did pay attention to that. And she told me that explicitly. She said those things to me before she was gone. And, you know, she said, sometimes you have to pamper yourself. Sometimes you have to be your own biggest supporter and spoil yourself. You deserve it, and it's okay to give it to yourself. And that's, I think, something that I wish more people felt, and especially more women felt comfortable saying, you know what, sometimes it is me first. Sometimes it has to be me first. And she, as much as she fought and as much as she sacrificed, she knew when to say me first.
I'm going to ask one more question, then we're going to let you go. I ask both of you guys this. Let's start with you. In the world today where women are now shining and they're also being exploited, a lot of them exploit themselves and stuff. What do you think is missing with women today? What are at least three things that you see that need to be addressed, that are handicapping and preventing women from becoming the ultimate individual that they can be?
I think the biggest one would have to be compassion. Women nowadays, it seems like their mindset is competition. Like, oh, you're doing this. Well, I'm going to one up you and I got to do this. Or now I see you over here. Oh, no, I got to one up you. Everybody's tearing each other down. They tear each other down over the simplest and most catty things that you can think about. Why are we doing this? As a woman, it's hard enough to get to a level where you're heard and seen. And why would you tear the other person down? Why are you tearing the other person down? You should be happy. If somebody else gets a big win, you should be happy. That should be a big win for you too. I don't understand why everything seems like a competition and why we can't support each other more. Why can't you support somebody no matter what they're doing? Support them, voice it, tell them. Be like, hey, I'm behind you. I think this is a great idea that you're doing this. But for some reason in society today, women are like in constant competition.
Kim?
I think there's still a lot of systemic issues that keep women from being able to feel really grounded in their own power, in their own agency, owning their voice. When you are calm and confident and have agency, very little bothers you, right? You can be bothered by things, but to feel grounded in yourself and to feel like you have all the power and agency that you need to navigate this world, that's a gift. And most of the things that surround us from birth as women work against that. You know, we're not encouraged. It's changing somewhat, but we're not encouraged to use your voice, to own your voice, to be powerful, right? I mean, you hear things like bossy, bitchy, all these things, right? All these terms of judgment. But it shouldn't, I agree with Marion, it shouldn't be that way. You should be allowed to be strong and proud and opinionated and make mistakes and keep going. So what? That's fine, and feel just fine about it. But that's not what we're taught. We're taught, you know, to be muted, to be of service, to take care of others, to put others before ourselves. Right. And that wanting, achieving, doing is not incompatible with being a compassionate, kind, good human being. Those are not incompatible. But for women, it's always a struggle, feeling like you can be one or the other, but you're not allowed to be both.
Beautifully put. Before we wrap up, Kim, thank you for taking time out to come on the show. How can the viewers reach out to you and support you and know what you're doing in today's society?
Well, listen, I've been doing my thing a long time. People can find me, on LinkedIn. They can find me on Instagram. But more than anything, I'm very proud of what my sister's doing. And so I would say, follow her, encourage her, help her amplify these ideas, and be a force for good.
Sounds like a winner. Now, let me close out with saying it's been a pleasure working with you. I wish you the best on your podcast. I think you're going to do great. I listened to your guests. I listened to your sister. You got great support. You're a hard worker. Man, I'm impressed. I'm impressed.
I appreciate all that, and thank you for your guidance and for, putting up with me for the past.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
listen,
I didn't get any mofongo.
Yeah, you didn't get mofongo, but you got to thank you. I put 50 plus years into this. I didn't get mofongo or thank you.
I say thank you all the time.
She said when she comes back for season 2, we've already found a couple of Puerto Rican
restaurants
on the west side of Indianapolis. So yeah,
very nice.
She'll be a master by then. But anyway, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
I know you're going to do good. Just like I said, my ideal of greatness is what?
Consistency.
Consistency.
It's been brought up all week.
Yeah, and you know what? That's the universe telling you something. Consistency equals to greatness.
Yeah.
Just remember that and you watch what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre
The Beast
Crayton
Show.